PCN is brought to you in part by the following underwriters.
Welcome to this week's episode of PACTV Community News. We have a great show tonight with stories from your South Shore communities.
This week we bring you to a wheelchair donation ceremony, check out a new veterans garden, and visit a growing sustainable community.
We attend a Babe Ruth All-Star game and get a behind-the-scenes view of Priscilla Beach Theater's Fiddler on the Roof.
PCN meets up with the Traveling World Trade Center group, and Town Talk is from Duxbury.
We begin tonight at the Art Association in Duxbury.
Summer Fun at Duxbury Art Association is a program for kids that focuses on the creative process and learning experience using visual arts while incorporating other types of artistic enterprises as well. The program focuses on kids ages 4 to 9, and PCN stopped in on a recent summer afternoon to learn more.
I'm the Executive Director of the Duxbury Art Association. We are in the midst, in the heat of the summer fun season. Summer is our busiest time. We've got Friday, which is our gallery show day for our summer fun camp. This week is Knights and Princesses. We also have coming up our midsummer art show called Art by the Bay, which is happening in August down at the Maritime Boat Shed. We have a couple of workshops for kids coming up in the next couple of weeks where they can create a piece of artwork and show it in our art show, so we want to invite people to do that. We have, at the end of one of the last weeks of the summer, we have something called Mastering Art Mediums for a little bit older kids, where our summer fun weeks are for ages 4 and 5 and 6 to 9, which is every week we have a themed camp, and it's from 9 to noon. The last week of the summer we have something called Mastering Art Mediums, and it's for older students where they can experience all different art mediums, whether it's colored pencil, oil and acrylics, watercolors, pastels, so they can really get their hands on all sorts of different art mediums to sort of see if they like or excel or don't care for certain mediums, and really sort of get to play around with stuff where they may never have that experience, and really go to town in all sorts of different art mediums. We teach them to be creative and use their minds and think of ways to express what they find interesting. So in art, there's never a wrong answer. You can always come up with an interesting solution no matter what the problem. So really, it's never about coloring in the lines. It's always about being free to come up with your own answer. So that's something that it's really important to establish early on and make sure that kids get to have that all along. So that's one thing we really try to do. They get to be creative, they get to get messy outside of home, they get to use all sorts of wonderful arts and supplies, they get to be sort of mentored and coached in 3D art mediums and 2D, which is something that's a little bit more advanced than just arts and crafts at home, beyond the coloring book and beyond Michael's crafts projects. They learn a little bit about, each week has a theme on whether it be, this week was Knights and Princesses. They learned about making a family crest and putting it on a shield. They learned a little bit about the mystery of dragons and knights. They made a little very safe sword. So they learn a little bit about the background of each theme, and they learn and make new friends, and they play a little bit outside, and they just have a wonderful time. So we really try to cover all the bases: creativity, new friends, activity, and just a fun camp experience. And then they have the rest of the day to go to the beach.
Kingston resident Mary O'Donnell is a bit of a modern-day Renaissance woman who is slowly but surely building a fully sustainable community on her property. Recently, we stopped in to meet this amazing woman to learn what defines a sustainable community and hear about her future plans.
The goal of this place is to show and to be what real sustainability is all about. And by that I mean we supply our own water, we take care of our own waste naturally.
Trying to get it as self-sustaining as possible, and meaning that we don't want to have to go off the property for anything as far as from chicken food to soil to we have our own wells, we use our own heat systems, and we do microgreens, veggies, herbs. We have tilapia, goldfish, chickens, really anything, honey, anything you can really think of. There's also turbines on the property. So we're using all wood and combustible heat, like our compost heat, which is a decomposing wood chips, which creates a methane gas and is then pumped in underneath the floor of the greenhouses. It's really important for the next generation to understand where their food is coming from and how it's affecting the world. I mean, the normal agricultural farm leaves a horrible footprint. Their carbon footprint is just unbelievable. If agricultural farming continues to just use the same soil over and over again without adding the nutrient and properly turning it, and then just moving from one property to the next, then a few generations down the road, the only thing that's going to be left is going to be basically desert. People don't realize that it's going to happen soon. It's not going to happen 100 million years from now. It's going to happen within our children, our grandkids are going to start seeing the effects of this. We already are. In a sustainable farm, we're actually bettering the soil. We're adding more nitrogen than it would have had originally. It's actually using the land that you have and turning it into something that's going to continue to work for generations after you leave it.
That we are here to use the earth, not abuse the earth. They're here to get that whatever little bit they do makes a difference.
It's basically, it comes down to if you take care of your land will take care of you.
This is a dream come true for me. It's everything that I am about, that I think that we should do for our children, our grandchildren. It can't go on the way we've been doing it.
I think the main vision one day is to create a self-sustaining community of like-minded people that all want to have a cleaner, less, like a smaller footprint.
So fortunately for me, this is a very, very forward-thinking town. And they had already, it was one of the very first green communities.
She really wants to have the 100% self-sustaining, from the solar panels to the well water to the food, so that like you literally could live on this property without having to leave for any reason.
So bit by bit, step by step, we're going to develop this as a totally sustainable, chemical-free, happy environment.
She's just really an incredibly motivated woman. She does everything she wants. You know, she thinks of a project and she sets out to do it.
It's been a dream for many years, and it looks like bit by bit, it's coming home.
I like the fact that these things seem to be popping up more and more as people really pay attention to, what it is that they're eating and the footprint that they leave on the earth. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, Mary and all her group they're so welcoming to us. They did an amazing job, and I just want to say my niece Anna Abinette went with me, and most of those shots were hers, and so I was really happy to have her there. But I was really impressed with this place, and I'm just excited to have sustainable and growing your own food and taking care of all of it in one place is really neat.
Well, you did a nice job with the piece too. Smile Mass is a Massachusetts nonprofit whose mission is to raise funds to build and donate beach wheelchairs to communities in the Commonwealth. The group has been able to donate a few chairs to the town of Plymouth for its beaches and ponds. PCN caught up with the group at the dedication event at Plymouth Beach.
Hi, I'm Susan Brown. I am from Smile Mass, which is a nonprofit based in Sudbury, Massachusetts, and our mission is to make recreation and vacation more accessible for individuals with disabilities. So we started out with a beach project, and we have placed 66 floating beach wheelchairs before today across Massachusetts. We raise all the money to purchase these chairs, and then we donate them to the individual towns to put on public beaches across Massachusetts. But we are here today at Plymouth Beach making a donation of 5 additional chairs. 3 of them are staying right here in Plymouth, and these chairs go right from the parking lot over the sand and into the water, and they float. So now an individual with a mobility issue can get right into the water, because the previous chairs, the ones we saw typically, were sand chairs. And so now you're on the sand, but now you're hot. So with our chairs, you can actually get right into the water and float and cool off and enjoy a beach day with the rest of your family, just like most of the families in America like to do in the summertime.
Barry de Blasio, I'm the Recreation Director for the town of Plymouth. We're thrilled to be working with Smile Mass to bring these Moby chairs to our beaches. We've known about them for many years and have watched them be extremely successful in other Cape towns. And we kind of were just waiting our turn for this donation program to actually move to Plymouth. And so it's here now, and we're excited. We will have these chairs at 3 of our beaches. To start with will be Plymouth Beach, Whitehorse, and Hedges Pond will be our 3 locations. And so for people looking to utilize these chairs, what they should do is when they first enter, either speak to the supervisor or the parking attendant when they come in, and if they bypass them, they can always alert one of the lifeguards, and they'll call up and have the chair brought down to them. It's access to our beaches for a population that wasn't always able to use it. So we're excited to be a part of it and extremely thankful to Smile Mass to help us reach that goal.
The Pembroke Fire Department opened their doors to the public for a week in July. The open house was a chance to showcase the new dispatch center that launched earlier this summer. Also on display was a beam from one of the World Trade Center towers as the department honored the fallen, both past and present. Aside from being able to film the moving memorial, PCN took the opportunity for some Q&A when we stopped in for opening ceremonies.
In an effort to raise awareness about their new dispatch center, the Pembroke Fire Department held an open house of sorts. For a week in July, the public was able to come and visit their local firehouse anytime between 8 a.m. and 8 p.m. and ask questions to really get to know what goes on in a day in the life of their town's first responders.
We received a grant from Homeland Security to improve our radio system and dispatch center. So we completed that. It went online July 1st, and today we decided to combine the efforts of a little PR with a beam that we received from Weymouth Firefighters Local 1616 and integrate the two and just open it up to the public.
For those who hadn't been inside the building before, this is what the old dispatch center looked like. The beam that was mentioned by Interim Chief Hale came from one of the World Trade Center towers in New York, and it came to the department courtesy of some hard work from former Pembroke firefighter Brad Flannery.
He had contacted me, a high school friend of mine, about a piece of steel from the 9/11 towers that he had, and was reaching out to the Pembroke Fire Department to have some like PR within the department, and thought it was a great idea where the beam was being stored in Pembroke for us to display it and help us move forward with PR. It's a cross member, so anything vertical has a number on it, and they can find out where it actually came from in what tower and what section of the building. Brad explained to us that it was a cross member and that they weren't tagged, so it could have been any floor in either of the towers.
Obtaining this giant hunk of twisted metal was certainly no easy feat.
5 years of paperwork and politicians over and over and over again. It took them a long time. They actually stopped the program, and he was persistent and just kept on going, and finally he got the notification in February of this year.
Folks from all over filled the room as the open house week kicked off with ceremonies honoring the fallen. Friends and family members of now departed firefighters were in attendance, as well as several local dignitaries. The mood in the room was a combination of somber and uplifting. The department would like to see this day serve as a springboard to more open dialogue and relations with the town's residents.
I hope everybody reflects on the beam itself, what it means to this country over the last 14 years. And it's just to get people back into the building. We haven't had an open house for a little while now.
Pembroke Fire Department is, open to the public, and we're looking forward to have a relationship with the community.
At the Pembroke Fire Department, Brian Sullivan, PACTV Community News.
It was quite a turnout, Brian. You had Congressman Keating, you had Representative Josh Cutler, a lot of people there.
They were all there. Everybody gave a nice speech, really heartwarming, and a lot of people turned out. It wasn't the most beautiful day in the morning, but it got nicer as the day went on.
It must have been moving to see that actual piece from the World Trade Center.
That's the first time I've ever seen anything like that up close, and it was impressive. So yeah, and it was nice to see so many people, and family members of fallen firefighters and veterans. So, like I said, it was uplifting but somber at the same time. It's always nice to know that there are some good people out there Christopher Hart of the Nathan Hale Foundation is certainly one of them. On Clark Road in Plymouth, he's developed a farm for veterans with traumatic brain injury on what was once a rugged piece of land. We stopped over during the final days of construction to get a glimpse of this great work.
We've been looking at this property for about 8 years, asking who owns it. And this would be the perfect spot for us. It's right next to the ponds, it's right next to the cranberry bogs, right next to all the nature trails. And it falls into what we want to do, is treating traumatic brain injuries and having more services available for seniors and whatnot. As of right now, we're ripping down all the trees and doing the excavating work, putting in raised gardens. Most of the raised gardens would be for veterans that are in wheelchair bound and that have balance issues. Going around the whole entire farm would be 175 dwarfed apple trees, with the paneling fence going around the property also, with the horse cart path in between. A lot of the services that we will provide here will be family-oriented, not just for a veteran, but things that they can do with their family. I left my job after 9/11 to start the Veterans Nathan Hale Foundation. And we started with one town in Plymouth, and it evolved into 16 towns. But when we started providing veterans with transportation, then counseling, then a food pantry, but there's got to be more for them. There's a lot of veterans coming home that are blown up, and there's really not a lot of services here available for them, especially services that would combine veterans with their families and doing things together. Here at the farm, they'd be doing a lot of things that are repetitious. Pruning trees and, working on the farm. It's kind of doing the same thing over and over again. And then the sound of the trees and the wind in the trees and the ponds next door. These things are the same sounds that you hear all day, which help a veteran with traumatic brain injury. They have damaged brain cell stems. So things that are repetitious help the damaged brain cell stems, and that's how we came up with the idea of farming. The day that we closed on the property, we came here, we saw helicopters going by, Coast Guard, Army, and then the next day we came here, we saw F-14s, F-13s, and I said, I wish there was a way we could say hello to them. So we built a flower bed, and it's to replicate an American flag. It's got the 76 in there, and it's got the red flowers, the white flowers, and it's just to say hello to the troops that are flying overhead, letting them know that we're here. I couldn't say enough about Plymouth, that the whole community has been supportive, even as the state legislation, to the governor, to the town officials. Everyone's been helpful, and it's been absolutely awesome. It's just overwhelmed with the community support. My country's in its time of need, and I'm not as brave as some of these people that join the military, and I'm too old. But I can be useful in another way, and I think my only ambition here is to be an obedient servant and be an asset to my community and help people.
Babe Ruth's youth sports organizations are baseball and softball leagues for children from ages 4 to 18. They have served over 1 million players and have been the building blocks for many careers, as well as everyday confidence and self-esteem. PCN caught up with the All-Star Game in Plymouth.
The Downey Division All-Star Game that we're about to conduct tonight is second in a series of 2. We started last year, and we hadn't had one for about 5 years prior to that. Really, it kind of evolved in a question that I had asked our coaches last year: what else can we do to add value to the kids' season, to really kind of go out in style and really get that next level effort that they'll remember going forward? And in that, the All-Star Game was born. Last year we had the event, a similar beautiful night like this. We had about 220 people show up, and it was great. We do all the bells and whistles. We have someone singing the national anthem, God Bless America. We do a first pitch, a ceremonial first pitch. And really, hot dogs, lemonade, everything that baseball stands for. Because really that's what this game is all about. Kind of encapsulate the season, and really as a jumping off point to the next coming up year, what these kids can look forward to. It's really all about making memories, and that's what we're trying to do with these kids.
We're really fortunate to be able to have a unique experience like we have tonight. The Downey Division is a division of players that we've been very fortunate to bring together tonight, of all-star players, in order to compete at a high level for our fans here at Forges Field. In Plymouth, Babe Ruth is clearly one of the strongest programs that we have in town in terms of youth sports. We have 8 teams in the Rose Division, 6 teams in the Downey Division, which we feel is very, very competitive baseball. And we have multiple teams that are playing currently right now above and beyond the regular season. Our families, parents have been very supportive, and we also have a tremendous amount of sponsors that will not only sponsor teams but also do sign sponsors here in town that are posted up at all the ball fields that we play at. So we thank them as well.
The Plymouth Pilgrims are tremendously involved in the community. We have sponsors for every night of our games. We have theme nights for every night of our games. We're averaging around 40% more fans than we did last year. Our baseball team is doing really well. We're very well received in the community. We have a number of events coming up still. We have Red Sox night, Gobble's birthday night, the golf ball drop, and a number of other events that attract fans out to the ballpark. And we really have a great time at this, and the team is doing very well. Very proud of the kids that play here.
This has been a very special year for the Priscilla Beach Theater in Plymouth. A few weeks ago, PCN took you inside for a full tour of its completely renovated theater. This week, we take you to meet Ron Fassler, a screen and stage actor that's returned to his old stomping grounds to direct the new theater's inaugural production. We met up with Ron to get an exclusive interview and to hear about the journey that brought him back. It may have a little to do with tradition.
It's no secret the Priscilla Beach Theater is old. Though the recent renovations have breathed life back into the old structure, along with an energetic summer stock season, that wasn't the only piece of history that was coming back to life. Ron Fassler, Priscilla Beach Theater alum, has had a successful career in television, film, and stage, and decided to take an opportunity at his old stomping grounds after a long-lost stage companion reached out.
This is my return to what I like to call my roots. I came here as a 17-year-old kid with a group of college students, mostly consisting of Tufts University, but also other surrounding Boston area schools. I kind of was grandfathered in through a connection, so I was the only one still in high school. And it was the best summer of my life. A ton of work, too much fun for words. And when I returned for the second summer, I had even bigger and better roles, and again, an incredible summer. I came back for one more after my first year of college, and when I drove off the campus in 1976, I never thought I'd come back, and I didn't until I received an email from Bob Malone last summer telling me that he had bought the property, was renovating the theater, and would I consider coming back to direct the show of my choice as the inaugural production here. Bob Malone was a little boy here when I did the final summer back in 1976. His family came here and he wandered down the road, found himself sort of completely taken with the starstruck aspects of it all. And he only wanted to do whatever we asked him to do. He would sweep the floor. He would sell sodas at intermission. Then we even actually recruited him to be in Fiddler on the Roof, where he made his stage debut. And that was another reason I chose to do Fiddler, to bring it truly full circle. So who says you can't go home again? It took me all of about 20 seconds to say yes.
Fassler's production didn't just bring him back for a jaunt down memory lane. The production, the casting, the tradition of the old barn theater took on many new lives as Fiddler on the Roof was being put up as the barn's inaugural show.
Well, the joy of coming back has a great deal to do with Fiddler on the Roof. It's one of the really true masterpieces of the American musical theater. Not just because it has a great score and a great leading role. It tells some great stories, not just one story, but many stories. And it's universal. This company is dedicated, they're smart, they're curious. These are all the things I look for in an actor. And so in Michael Bernardi, I'm tremendously blessed. And of course, this was a dream role for him because the Bernardi name is attached to Fiddler on the Roof through the fact that his father played it on Broadway and many times thereafter throughout the next 20 years of his life. In the name of tradition, to allow Michael this opportunity to follow in his father and grandfather's footsteps, and literally because he's wearing his father's boots. His father's costume was saved, preserved, and Michael will be wearing it.
Making the trip back to Plymouth wasn't as easy as flying into Logan and making the hour-long trip south as one might think. The summer prior to Fassler's production of Fiddler on the Roof, Ron visited the theater with his son. Bob wanted to give Ron the opportunity to see the past while looking to the future.
Returning to the theater last summer, which was 39 summers from the last time I was here, it was very emotional. When I finally got onto the stage of the theater and it was in its most dilapidated form, I burst into tears because the memories just came flooding through me. And the beauty of the place, in spite of the fact that it was in tremendously bad shape, but Bob was actively getting ready to do this construction through the worst winter in Boston's history, of course. And so when I returned again this spring, I couldn't believe my eyes, even though I'd seen the photographs. As Matilda Taylor says in Fiddler, miracle of miracles. I mean, it is a miracle what he's pulled off this year.
Reporting from Plymouth, I'm Maureen Bates, PACTV Community News.
Town Talk brings us to Duxbury Town Hall for a summer update.
Hi there, I'm Rainey Reed, the town manager for the town of Duxbury, and thanks for joining me. Just a couple of updates for people. The first has to do with Duxbury Beach. As recently as last week, we opened up access to approximately 350 ORV vehicles that are now allowed on the beach. After a challenging start this season, we saw restrictions go all the way down to approximately 50 cars, but thankfully the birds are starting to fledge, and with the warmer weather, more people will be able to access the beach. So we're still encouraging people to come on out and join us, especially when the temps are in the 90s. It's a great time to get out there. Something I wanted to let people know about is an upcoming meeting that will be occurring on Monday, August 3rd, which is a joint meeting of the Board of Selectmen, Finance Committee, Fiscal Advisory Committee, and School Committee. What they'll be doing is talking about the upcoming FY17 budget. It may seem early since we just started the FY16 budget cycle, but we wanted to get a good jump on things and make sure that people understood the various dynamics that will be associated with not just the operating budget, but also the capital budget and a few other projects that are listed on the agenda. Specifically, we'll be talking about collective bargaining contracts and where we think the trend will be heading for the coming year. We'll also be talking about the Powder Point Bridge, since there are a number of upgrades that need to be considered by the voters at some point. We'll also be talking about the Duxbury Beach, specifically the lease between the town and the Duxbury Beach Reservation. We'll also be talking about North Hill Country Club, since we'll be going out to bid in the coming months for a new lessee to run the operations part of that. Finally, we'll be talking about dredging. Unfortunately, we were told this season that we wouldn't be able to dredge this year, but we'll be expecting to dredge next year. So we have a lot of interesting subjects on the agenda, and that meeting will be occurring again on Monday, August 3rd, and it'll be taking place at the Duxbury Senior Center starting at 7 o'clock. So we hope that you'll join us. If you're not able to join us, we'll be broadcasting the meeting on PACTV, so you'll be able to watch either on your television or online. Thank you very much. Have a great day.
Thanks for watching this week's show. Replay times are listed on our website, pactv.org, or you can find us on YouTube by searching for the PACTV Community News channel. Be sure to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter for links and previews to all our stories.
We'll see you next week with another edition of PACTV Community News.